State Secretary for Labour and Social Policies, Madam Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs, representatives of the social partners, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. A democratic republic founded on labour, a founding member of the International Labour Organization, the country which is amongst those which have ratified the most international labour conventions, 113, a country whose modern history has been profoundly influenced and directed by dialogue and interaction between its trade unions, its employers' organizations, and government. A country whose president will open the ILO high-level debate at the Centenary Conference in Geneva next month, in which more than 40 heads of state and government will participate. A country whose protagonism and leadership has marked the International Labour Organization, with the exception of the hiatus of its departure in 1939, for 100 years. A country which hosts and generously supports the ILO's International Training Centre in Torino. All of these, ladies and gentlemen, are good reasons why it is a particular honour for me to be in Italy today to mark with our tripartite Italian constituents the centenary of the International Labour Organization. And I want to thank the colleagues from the Ministries of Labour and Foreign Affairs for organising this important event, and also to thank Mayor Raggi for allowing us to meet in these wonderful surroundings. An event which allows us not only to bear witness to the historic contribution of Italy and of Italians, but also to reflect on the challenges and opportunities that the future of work presents us with today. Ladies and gentlemen, 100 years ago, when the governments, the employers and the workers of the world came together to form the ILO, the greatest international social contract for social justice in the world's history, it was then impossible to even imagine that workers would be able to enjoy the rights and protections that they do enjoy today. We have come a very long way in creating truly humane conditions of work around the world. And yet, extraordinary challenges persist, and our current circumstances mean that it's very difficult to predict today what the world of work will look like even in 10 years' time from now. The current pace of change in the world of work is putting pressure on already challenged labour markets. Our societies are undergoing fundamental transformations, driven not only by technological innovation, but also by demographic shifts and by climate change. And polarisation and widening inequalities are eroding the foundations of long-term economic growth, social cohesion, and the quality of life in too many of the ILO's member states. And these major disruptions in the world of work are generating a great deal of uncertainty, a great deal of insecurity, and even fear in the face of change. Around the world, people want to know if their jobs would exist tomorrow, if their skills will be relevant, if their boss will be an algorithm, if a robot will simply take over their job. And these issues are at the top of the national and of the international policy agenda. And for these reasons, precisely, we have decided to focus the ILO's centenary not on our 100-year history, but on the future, and the future of work. And that decision, ladies and gentlemen, was based on a very simple conviction, that the future of work is not predetermined. It is up to us to shape a future that respects the rights of working people, that delivers economic security, equal opportunity, and social justice. And Italy has contributed very greatly to the ILO's centenary initiative on the future of work, both through a series of national events and through, notably, at the international level, its presidency of the G7 in 2017. And let me say that what Italy does, what Italy has to say about the future of work, matters immensely, not least in the light of our shared history and the founding vision of your republic. In a few days, ladies and gentlemen, the Centenary International Labour Conference will convene in Geneva. It will have the ambition of adopting a solemn declaration on the future of work, and it will be greatly helped in this by the recommendations of the ILO's Global Commission on the Future of Work, which was co-chaired by President Ramaphosa of South Africa and Prime Minister Stefan Löfven of Sweden. That commission published its report, and I see it on the seats in the room, in January of this year. Professor Enrico Giovannini, who was a very active member of that commission, will be speaking to you later on today about the experience of that commission. But if you'll allow me very briefly, let me just give you a foretaste by summarizing a few of the key points from the report of the Commission. Above all, this report is about people, and it's about investment, but not necessarily the investment that we're used to hearing about in discussions of economic policy. Because the report and the Commission propose a human-centered agenda, an agenda that places people and the work that they do at the center of economic and social policy and business practices. And this human-centered agenda is built around investment in three pillars that can drive growth, equity, and sustainability in our societies, maximizing the opportunities, minimizing the risks from the unprecedented changes that we all see already in the world of work. Now, the first pillar is about investment in people's capabilities so that people can take advantage fully, universally, of the real opportunities, and there are opportunities, that the future of work offers by supporting them through the multiple transitions that they will inevitably have to face over their working lives. And so the report calls for universal social protection from birth to old age. It proposes a universal entitlement to lifelong learning. In other words, a right to learning through one's working life. It calls for a transformative agenda for gender equality, one that can realize the ILO's 100-year-old principle. It was there in 1919, of equal remuneration for work of equal value. An agenda then that can put an end to a gender pay gap which continues to be perhaps the greatest single injustice in today's world of work. The second investment pillar revolves around increasing investment in the institutions of work. The report of the Commission reminds us, quoting the ILO Constitution, that labour is not a commodity, and that the role of institutions is to regulate labour markets, so to prevent labour from being treated as a commodity. And when the nature of work changes, and it is changing profoundly, we need to adapt and to strengthen our labour institutions accordingly. And so the Commission proposes a universal labour guarantee, one that would ensure that all workers, regardless of their employment status or their contractual arrangements, to enjoy their fundamental rights at work, an adequate living wage, a maximum number of hours of work, health and safety at work as a fundamental right. Ladies and gentlemen, more than 3 million people every year die because of the work that they do. And these guarantees are not new. They were already part of the ILO's Constitution of 1919. But let's face it, their application remains a distant prospect for too many millions of workers around the world. Our report of our Commission urges us to take advantage of technological development so that workers have greater control over their working time and are able to better balance their professional and their private lives. And it calls for the revitalization of policies to promote collective bargaining and social dialogue, not as a sectional interest, but as a public good, good for society. And the final pillar set out in the Commission's report is about investing in decent and sustainable work, the jobs of the future. And according to the Commission, we should be investing in transformative job-rich areas of the economy, the rural economy, the care economy, the green economy, high-quality physical, digital and social infrastructure. These are where the jobs of the future are coming from, when the most frequently asked question about the future of work is what will be the jobs of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the challenges facing us all today, I think Italy is neither unique nor alone, is to reinvigorate this social contract that allows enterprises to prosper, that gives working people a just share of economic progress and respect for their rights and protection against risks in return for their continuing contribution to society and to shared prosperity. Social dialogue, it's the way the ILO works, can ensure, must ensure, the relevance of this contract to manage the changes that are transforming our world of work and our societies. In these often difficult and uncertain times, I believe it is our collective responsibility, and it is indeed the mandate of the ILO and its member states, to continue working together as we have done over the past 100 years. And it will be for our tripartite constituents in Italy and in the ILO's other 186 member states to decide what the future of work will look like in the 21st century. So I look forward to the debate today, and I look forward to the continued strong partnership of Italy and the ILO in the future. Thank you for your attention.